Tonight, a fact that will quietly unmake something you have always assumed. The universe is expanding, but it is not expanding into anything. There is no empty space waiting outside it, no void beyond its edge, because there is no edge at all. The picture in your head, galaxies blowing outward into surrounding darkness, is simply wrong, and tonight we are going to replace it, slowly, gently, piece by piece. Before we begin, subscribe to Midnight Science, because these are the ideas that reward a patient mind. Tell me where you are watching from, and what hour it is where you lie. Now settle in. Close your eyes for a moment and let a picture form. You have seen it 1,000 times, even if no one ever handed it to you directly. There is a great dark room, endless in every direction, black and cold and still, and somewhere inside that room, floating in the middle of all that darkness, there is a cloud. The cloud is made of galaxies, billions of them, wheels of light turning slowly in the black, and the cloud is growing. It is swelling outward, pushing its edges into the surrounding dark, filling more and more of the room as the ages pass. That is the universe, expanding. That is the picture almost everyone carries. Hold it in your mind for a second, because tonight we are going to take it apart. It is a beautiful image, and it is completely natural that you hold it. There is nothing foolish about it. In fact, it is the only image your mind was ever equipped to make. Think about what your brain was built for. Think about the world it learned to navigate. Your ancestors did not evolve to picture cosmology. They evolved to throw stones, to judge the distance across a river, to know how far a predator stood in the grass. Every instinct you have about space and motion was forged in a world of rooms and horizons, of things that sit inside larger things, of objects that move across a fixed and waiting background. You have never once in your life seen something expand without expanding into somewhere. You have watched a balloon fill and press outward into the air of the room. You have watched a drop of ink bloom into a glass of water. You have watched bread rise in a warm oven, swelling against the space around it. You have watched a ripple widen across the still surface of a pond. Every expansion you have ever witnessed, without a single exception, has been a thing getting bigger inside a space that was already there to receive it. So when someone tells you the universe is expanding, your mind does the only thing it knows how to do. It reaches for the ink and the balloon and the rising bread. It builds a picture out of the only materials it has. And every one of those pictures comes with a room already attached. The balloon needs the air, the ink needs the water, the bread needs the oven. And so, without ever deciding to, without even noticing the decision was made, you place the expanding universe inside a room of empty darkness. You give it somewhere to grow into. You surround it with a void that was waiting there before the galaxies ever arrived. This is the quiet mistake, and it is such a gentle one, such an understandable one, that almost no one catches it. The room is not something you were told about. No one described that surrounding darkness to you. No one drew the edge of the cloud and labeled the blackness beyond it. The room arrived on its own, smuggled in by the very analogies meant to help you. It came free with the picture, hidden inside the frame, so seamlessly attached to the image that you cannot see the picture without it. Try, right now, to imagine the universe expanding without imagining anything around it. Try to picture the growth with no room to grow into. It is almost impossible. The mind slides back again and again, to the cloud in the dark, to the something getting bigger inside the nothing. Let me say the thing plainly now, early, before we have earned it, so that it sits with you through everything that follows. The universe is not expanding into anything. There is no room. There is no surrounding darkness waiting to be filled. There is no edge to the cloud, no outer surface pushing into an exterior void, because there is no exterior and there is no edge. The picture in your head, the beautiful and natural and deeply wrong picture, has a flaw at its very center. It has a room in it, and the room was never there. Let that land for a second. I know how strange that sounds. I know it sounds almost like a trick of words or a refusal to answer a simple question. If the universe is getting bigger, then surely it must be getting bigger into something. That is what bigger means. That is what your whole life has taught you. The word must mean. And yet, the honest answer, the answer that a century of careful measurement and patient thought has slowly arrived at, is that the question itself contains a hidden assumption that does not hold. The universe is expanding, yes, that part is true, and we will walk through exactly how we know it. But it is not expanding into anything at all. And by the end of tonight, that sentence, which sounds now like a contradiction or a dodge, is going to sound like the most natural thing in the world. We are not going to get there quickly. I want to say that now, so you can settle into the pace. There is no single sentence I can offer you that will make the room disappear all at once. The picture in your head was built slowly, over a whole lifetime of watching things expand into other things, and it cannot be dismantled in a flash. It has to be taken apart the way it was assembled, gently, one piece at a time, until the room quietly dissolves, and something stranger and truer stands in its place. So do not strain against it tonight. Do not try to force the understanding to arrive all at once. Let it come the way understanding actually comes, by circling, by returning, by living with the strangeness until the strangeness becomes familiar. Here is what we are going to do. We are going to start with what expansion actually means. The real thing the word points to, which is not galaxies flying through space, but something far quieter and far stranger happening to the space itself. We are going to look at why every observer anywhere in the universe sees everything fleeing away from them, and why that makes each of us feel like we are standing at the center of it all, when there is no center to stand at. We are going to sit with the fact that the most distant galaxies are receding faster than light itself, and we are going to see, slowly and carefully, why that breaks no law and threatens nothing. And then we are going to walk right up to the phrase at the heart of it all, the phrase outside the universe, and we are going to discover something surprising about it. Not that it names a place that does not exist, something stranger than that, but we are not there yet. For now, I want to give you something to hold, something small and real, so that all of this cosmic scale has an anchor in your own hands. Look up. If you can, tonight or some night soon, go outside and look up at the sky, or just picture it now, the way it looks on a clear, dark night, far from the lights of any city. Pick one star, any star, a single point of light among the thousands scattered across the black. Hold it in your gaze. That light entered your eye tonight, but it did not leave that star tonight. It left long ago, and it has been traveling toward you across an emptiness you cannot feel from where you stand, crossing a distance your body has no way to comprehend, arriving at last at the small wet surface of your eye. One point of light, one old traveler arriving. Now here is the thing I want you to notice and to carry with you. That star, that single point you are holding in your gaze, is drifting away from you, slowly, imperceptibly, but truly. And it is not only that star. Every distant point of light in that sky is drifting away from every other. The whole scattered field of them is slowly widening, the gaps between them slowly opening, like a held breath very gradually being let go. You cannot see it happen. No one can see it happen in a single night, or a single lifetime, or 1,000 lifetimes. But it is happening, and it has been happening for as long as there has been a sky to hold it. And it is the plainest and most far-reaching fact about the place you live. And notice, as you hold that star, that your mind wants to ask the question again. If it is drifting away, then it is drifting away into something. If the gaps are widening, then they are widening within some larger space that has room for them to widen. There it is again. The room, the instinct is so deep, so automatic, that even now, even having been warned, your mind builds the surrounding darkness without asking your permission. That is how strong the picture is. That is how much work we have ahead of us. But do not fight it tonight. Just notice it. Notice how naturally the room appears, how it comes attached to every thought of expansion, how difficult it is to think the growth without the space it grows into. That noticing is the first real step, because you cannot take apart a thing you cannot see, and until this moment, the room was invisible to you. It was simply part of how the universe looked. Now you have seen it. Now you know it is there, hiding inside your picture. And a thing you can see, you can begin to question. I want to be honest with you about something, because this channel has never been in the business of easy answers. The reason this is hard is not that the truth is complicated. The mathematics that describes the expanding universe is difficult, yes, but the idea underneath it is not really a matter of equations. The reason this is hard is that the truth asks you to think against the grain of your own body. It asks you to picture something your senses have never once shown you and were never built to show you. Every fiber of your intuition was trained on rooms and edges and things inside other things. And now you are being asked to conceive of an expansion with no room, a growth with no exterior, a getting bigger that is not, a getting bigger into. Your intuition will resist this at every turn. It will keep smuggling the room back in. And the work of tonight is not to defeat your intuition by force. It is to walk with it, patiently, until it learns to let the room go. So let us go slowly. Let us not pretend the strangeness away. The universe is expanding, and it is not expanding into anything, and both of those things are true at once. And right now they sit in your mind as a contradiction. That is exactly where you should be. That discomfort, that small crack running through the picture you have always held, is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is the sign that something is about to go right. The old picture is beginning to come apart. The room is beginning to show itself as a thing that was added, not a thing that was found. And in the space where the room used to be, if you are patient, something truer is going to arrive. Hold your star a moment longer. Feel how naturally it sits inside a darkness that surrounds it. Feel how obvious it seems that beyond the farthest galaxies there must be more dark, more room, more somewhere for it all to expand into. Feel how solid that intuition is, how much it feels like simple common sense rather than an assumption you could ever question. And then let me tell you quietly that it is an assumption. That is all it is. A guess your mind made on your behalf long ago before you ever thought to examine it. A room it built because it did not know how to build anything else. The galaxies are real. The light is real. The drifting apart is real. But the room, the surrounding void, the great dark space the cloud expands into, that was never given to you by the universe. That was given to you by the limits of your own imagination and by every rising loaf and blooming drop of ink you ever watched. We are going to spend the rest of tonight taking that room apart. Do not worry yet about what replaces it. Do not reach ahead for the answer. For now, it is enough to have seen the room for what it is, to have felt the picture crack, to have noticed the strange and gentle wrongness at the center of the thing you always assumed you understood. That noticing is where every real understanding begins, not with a new answer, but with the quiet collapse of an old certainty. The picture in your head was never true. Sit with that for a moment, and then, when you are ready, we will begin to look at what is. Let us begin then with the word itself, expansion. It seems like such a simple word, one you have known since childhood, one that carries no mystery at all. Something expands when it gets bigger. A crowd expands when more people arrive. A business expands when it opens new doors. Your lungs expand when you draw a breath. In every one of these cases, expansion means the same thing. It means a thing spreading out, reaching further, occupying more of the space around it than it did before. And this is exactly the meaning your mind reaches for when it hears that the universe is expanding. It pictures the great cloud of galaxies spreading out, reaching further, occupying more of the surrounding dark. It pictures the galaxies in motion, flying outward, racing away from some central point toward the edges of the room. But this is where two ideas, tangled together in your intuition, need to be gently pulled apart, because there are two completely different things that could be happening when distances grow and your mind fuses them into one. It has always fused them into one, because in your everyday life, they have always been the same thing. Tonight, we are going to separate them, and in that separation is the whole heart of what expansion actually means. Here is the first idea, the familiar one. Things can move through space. This is what motion has always meant to you. A bird crosses the sky, moving through the air from one place to another. A car travels down a road, moving through space, leaving one point behind and arriving at another. The space itself stays exactly where it is, fixed and still, a stage that does not move, and the things move across it. When two birds fly apart, the distance between them grows because they are each traveling, each covering ground, each moving through a space that itself holds perfectly still. The stage is fixed. The actors move upon it. This is the only kind of expansion your body has ever known. Now here is the second idea, the strange one, the one your intuition has no room for. What if the distance between two things could grow without either thing moving at all? What if neither one traveled, neither one crossed any ground, neither one raced away toward anywhere, and yet the gap between them widened all the same? Not because they moved through space, but because the space between them was itself getting longer, the stage stretching, the ground beneath the actors lengthening while the actors stand perfectly still. Let me say that again, in a different way, because it is the single most important idea of the entire night, and it deserves to be said more than once. When we say the universe is expanding, we do not mean that the galaxies are sprinting outward through a fixed and waiting emptiness. We do not mean that they are flying away from some central point, like fragments from an explosion, crossing a space that sits still around them. That is the picture from your intuition, and it is the wrong picture. What we mean is something far quieter and far stranger. We mean that the emptiness between the galaxies is itself lengthening. The space is not a fixed stage. The space is the thing that grows. The galaxies, for the most part, are not going anywhere at all. It is the distance between them, the raw gap, the empty separation that is quietly and continuously getting longer. And once more, in the plainest words I can find, the galaxies are not moving apart. The space between them is being made. New distance is appearing in the gaps. Not because anything is traveling across those gaps, but because the gaps themselves are swelling everywhere, all at once, all the time. Let that land for a second. I know how difficult this is to hold, because your intuition has no example of it. You have never once seen two things grow apart without either of them moving. In your world, if the distance between two objects increases, one of them moved, or both of them did. That is simply what distance is. So let me try to give you something your body can almost feel, even though the real thing lies just beyond what any earthly example can capture. Imagine a long, wide sheet of soft rubber, laid flat, stretching away in every direction further than you can see. And imagine that resting on this sheet, not attached, just sitting there, are a scattering of small stones. Each stone sits still. No stone rolls, no stone is pushed. Every stone stays exactly where it was placed. Now imagine that the rubber sheet itself begins, very slowly, to stretch. Not from any one point, everywhere at once, evenly, the whole sheet growing outward in all directions. And as it stretches, what happens to the stones? They do not move. Not one of them takes a single step across the rubber. And yet, watch them. The distance between every stone and every other stone begins to grow. The gaps between them open and widen. A stone that was near becomes far. A stone that was far becomes farther still. And none of them moved. They simply sat there while the ground beneath them lengthened and carried them apart without carrying them anywhere. That is closer to the truth of it. The galaxies are the stones. The space is the rubber. The galaxies mostly sit still, held in place, going nowhere in particular. And the space between them stretches, and in that stretching the galaxies drift apart, not because they travel, but because the distance itself is being drawn out longer and longer, everywhere, all at once. Now, I have to be honest with you, because this channel does not deal in comfortable half-truths. The rubber sheet is a help, but it is also a small lie, the same lie the balloon and the bread and the ink all told. The sheet has to stretch into the room around it. It has edges. It sits on a floor, in the air, inside a space that was already there. The real thing has none of that. There is no floor beneath the stretching, no room around it, no larger space it stretches within. That part the rubber cannot show you, and we will return to it later when you are ready. For now, keep only the one true thing the sheet does show. That distances can grow while the things themselves stay still. That expansion can mean not motion through space, but the making of new space in the gaps. Hold on to that and let the rest of the picture fall away. You might ask, and you would be right to ask, how anyone could possibly know such a thing. It is one matter to describe a strange idea. It is another to have any reason to believe it is true. If the galaxies are not moving, if the space itself is stretching, how could anyone standing on a single small planet ever come to know it? This is a fair question, and it deserves a careful answer, because the answer is one of the most patient and beautiful stories in all of human effort. It begins with light. When the light from a distant galaxy arrives here, it carries a hidden message inside it, written in its color. Light, you see, comes in a spread of colors, and buried within that spread are certain fine, precise features, like markings on a ruler, that are always in the same place. They are set by the very atoms that made the light, and those atoms behave the same everywhere in the universe, so the markings should always fall exactly where we expect. But when we catch the light of a distant galaxy and spread it out and look for those markings, we find they have shifted. They have all slid together toward the redder end, stretched toward longer waves, as though the light itself had been pulled and lengthened on its long journey to us. And the further away the galaxy lies, the more its light is stretched, the more its markings have slid toward red. Sit with what that means. The light was stretched on the way here, and it was stretched because the very space it traveled through was stretching beneath it the whole way, drawing out the waves of the light itself, lengthening them exactly as it lengthened the distance the light had to cross. The stretch in the light is the fingerprint of the stretch in the space. And because the more distant galaxies sent their light across more space and more time, their light was stretched more. The color carries the record, the redness measures the reach. And here is the pattern that emerged, slowly, as this light was gathered and measured galaxy by galaxy. Nearly everything distant is receding from us. Almost every faraway galaxy is drifting away, its light stretched toward red, and there is an order to it, a clean and simple order. The further away a galaxy sits, the faster it is receding. Double the distance, and you double the speed of the retreat. Triple the distance, and you triple the speed. The relationship is steady, reliable, written across the whole sky. The farther, the faster. Always. Everywhere we look. Now, think about what kind of labor stands behind those words. It is easy to say the farther, the faster, in a single breath. But that sentence was not spoken in a single breath. It was assembled over long years by people bent over instruments in cold observatories, night after night, measuring the faint smudges of light from galaxies so distant their names would mean nothing to you. It took the patient work of gathering the light of one dim galaxy across many long exposures, just to spread it out and read the shift in its color, and then another galaxy, and another, and the careful, exhausting business of working out how far each one truly was, which is a labor all its own, built on chains of reasoning and ladders of measurement, each rung checked and rechecked, each step vulnerable to error. There was a woman who spent her days measuring the pulsing of certain stars, stars that brighten and dim in a steady rhythm, and who noticed, through sheer patient attention to thousands of these faint flickers, that the rhythm of their pulsing revealed how bright they truly were, which in turn revealed how far away they lay. She did not set out to unlock the scale of the cosmos. She was doing careful, repetitive, undramatic work, the kind of work that fills years and rarely fills headlines. And yet without that quiet labor, without that ladder she built rung by rung, no one could have measured the distance to a single far galaxy at all. The whole grand story of the expanding universe rests on foundations like hers, laid by people whose patience outlasted their own recognition. And there were those who took her ladder and climbed it, night after night, pointing their instruments at galaxy after galaxy, gathering the light, reading the red shift in the color, plotting the distance against the speed of retreat, until the pattern emerged from the scatter of measurements, like a shape appearing out of fog. The farther, the faster. It did not arrive as a thunderclap. It arrived as a slowly firming conviction, built from hundreds of careful nights, each one adding a single point to a chart that only gradually, over years, revealed its meaning. These were not people who shouted a discovery in a single triumphant instant. These were people of patience, of long attention, of the willingness to do the same painstaking measurement again and again, until the truth had no choice but to show itself. That is how we know, not by intuition, which fails us here entirely, not by a single flash of insight, but by decades of accumulated, careful, humble measurement, by the reading of red in the light of distant things, by the patient building of ladders and the patient climbing of them, until the pattern was undeniable. The universe is expanding, the space itself is stretching, the distant galaxies drift away, and the farther ones drift faster, and the light they send us carries the proof written in its reddened color. So now you have the real meaning of the word. Expansion is not the galaxies flying through a fixed emptiness. It is the emptiness itself being drawn out longer, new distance appearing in every gap, the whole vast web of space quietly lengthening while the galaxies ride along, mostly still, carried apart by the growth of the space between them. This is not a guess or a metaphor. It is what the reddened light has been telling us for 100 years, if only we were patient enough to read it. But I have to leave you tonight with a strange loose thread, one that should trouble you a little in the good way, the way that keeps you thinking. I told you that nearly everything distant is receding from us. From us. The galaxies drift away from us in every direction we look, the farther ones faster, the whole sky retreating from where we stand. And you might have felt, as I said it, a small, quiet swelling of significance. If everything is fleeing from us in every direction, then surely we must be somewhere special. Surely we must be near the center of it all, the fixed point from which everything else is running away. Why else would the whole universe be retreating from our particular corner of it? It is a natural thought. It is almost impossible not to think it. If you stand still and watch everything around you flee in every direction, the only sensible conclusion is that you are at the center of the fleeing. That is what your intuition insists. That is what the evidence seems to say. And yet, there is no center. We are not at the middle of anything. The universe has no special point, no fixed heart from which the expansion pours outward, and we most certainly are not standing at it. Everything is receding from us, in every direction, and this is true, and yet it does not mean what it so obviously seems to mean. How can that be? How can everything flee from us in every direction, and yet we not be the center of the flight? How can the whole universe retreat from where we stand, and yet the same be true for everyone, everywhere, no matter where they stand? That is the knot we will untie next. So here is where we sit. Everything distant is fleeing from us. In every direction we point our instruments, the galaxies are drifting away, and the farther they lie, the faster they retreat. The whole night sky is quietly running from where we stand, and your intuition, which has served you so faithfully for so many things, now offers you the obvious conclusion. If the retreat is happening in every direction outward from us, then we must be the point it is retreating from. We must be the center. It is not vanity that whispers this to you. It is geometry, or at least the geometry your body understands. When everything runs from a single place, that place is the middle. That is what middle means. And this is where I have to ask you to sit still and be patient with a strange truth, because we are going to walk right up to it and stand there for a while. The truth is this: everything is receding from us. And everything is receding from every other observer too, from every galaxy, from every solitary point in the whole vast web of the cosmos. There is no galaxy anywhere from which the universe would not appear to be running away in every direction. There is no vantage point that fails to look like the middle. Wherever you stood, whatever galaxy held your feet, you would look out into the sky and see the same pattern. Everything distant drifting away, the farther, the faster, the whole cosmos from where you stood, retreating. Let that arrive slowly, because if everyone sees everything fleeing from them, then no one is the center of the fleeing, and yet everyone feels like they are, and both of those things are true at once. I want to try to give you a way to hold this, though I am going to warn you at the start that the picture I am about to hand you is imperfect, and I am going to be very careful to show you exactly where it fails, because this is the kind of idea that resists every honest analogy, and any picture that pretends to capture it fully will lie to you in ways you might not notice. Picture a balloon, a simple round balloon, the kind you might have held at a party as a child, and picture it not yet fully inflated, small and slack in your hand. Now imagine that with a fine tipped pen you have drawn dots all over the surface of this balloon, little marks of ink scattered across the rubber, some dots close to others, some dots far apart. A whole scattered field of dots, covering the whole surface. Now begin, very gently, to inflate the balloon. The air fills the inside, and the rubber begins to stretch, and the balloon grows larger in your hand. And here is what I want you to notice about what happens to the dots. As the surface stretches, every dot moves away from every other dot. A dot that was near its neighbor is now a little farther from it. A dot that was already far is now farther still. The rubber, in stretching, carries the dots apart, and it does this everywhere across the surface, all at once, evenly. There is no single spot on the balloon where the stretching begins. There is no dot from which all the other dots are retreating in particular. Every dot sees every other dot moving away from it. Every dot could tell itself a little story about being the center of the retreat, because from its own vantage on the rubber, the whole scattered field of dots is drifting outward in every direction. And yet, look at the balloon, not at any one dot, but at the whole surface. Ask yourself honestly, where is the center of that surface? Not the center of the balloon, which sits somewhere inside the rubber in the pocket of air. The center of the surface itself, the middle of the field of dots. There is no such point. The surface has no center. Every dot lies on it in exactly the same way as every other dot. None of them is privileged. None of them sits at the middle, because the surface itself has no middle to sit at. It is a two-dimensional world with no edge and no core, and every location on it is equivalent to every other. The whole surface stretches, and every dot sees every other dot receding, and yet no dot is the center of the stretching. There is no center. There is nothing for the center to be. Hold that for a moment. That is close to the truth of it. The galaxies are the dots. Space is the surface. As space stretches, every galaxy sees every other galaxy drifting away. And the farther a galaxy sits, the more stretching space lies between it and you, and so the faster the retreat appears. Every observer, standing in every galaxy, would look out and see the same pattern. Everyone would appear to be at the center of the fleeing, because in a certain sense, everyone is, and in another sense, no one is, and the sense in which no one is deeper. Now, I have to keep my promise. I told you the picture would fail somewhere, and it does, and I want to show you exactly where, because the failure matters. The balloon has an inside. There is air within the rubber, and the air is what pushes the rubber outward, and the pushing needs an inside for the pushing to happen from. The balloon has an outside. The rubber sits in a room, surrounded by air on the outer side too, and the balloon stretches into that surrounding air, pushing against it as it grows. The balloon has a skin. The rubber itself is a physical thing, thin and taut, sitting between two regions of air. And the whole balloon is inside a larger space, the room, which was there before the balloon was blown up, and will remain when the balloon is deflated. The real universe has none of that. There is no inside. There is no outside. There is no rubber. There is no room. The whole thing sits within. When I ask you to think of the balloon as a model of the universe, I have to ask you to strip it of everything except its surface, and then to strip the surface of the fact that it sits somewhere, and then to consider what remains. The surface is the whole of the thing. There is nothing beneath it, no air within, no skin that separates one region from another. There is nothing above it, no room around it, no exterior that the surface is stretching into. There is only the surface itself, growing, and the dots on the surface drifting apart as the surface grows, and beyond that, absolutely nothing. Not empty space, not blackness, not room. Nothing. Not even the word nothing quite fits, because the word suggests an absence within a larger something that could have been there, and there is not even that. The balloon lies to you in this one way, and it is a large lie. It puts the whole cosmos inside a room. It gives you a familiar object floating in familiar air and asks you to imagine that as the universe. And your mind, gratefully, does exactly what the analogy invites, and pictures the balloon suspended in its room, and then the room becomes the exterior of the universe, and there it is again, the same old smuggled darkness, sneaking in through the very picture that was supposed to help you. So take the balloon, use what it teaches you about the surface and the dots and the centerless stretching, and then, when you are ready, throw the rest of it away, the rubber, the air inside, the room around it. Keep only the strange, disembodied fact that a two-dimensional world can stretch, and its inhabitants can all see each other retreating, and none of them can be the center of the retreat, because the world itself has no center. Now do the impossible thing. Take that lesson and let it apply to the three-dimensional space you actually live in. A three-dimensional world that stretches, and whose inhabitants all see each other retreating, and none of whom is the center, because the world itself has no center to be. I know your intuition cannot quite hold that image. Mine cannot either. The mind was not built to picture a three-dimensional space with no center and no exterior. Every attempt to visualize it slides back into a balloon in a room, or a cloud in a void, or a something in a somewhere. Do not be frustrated by that. The failure to picture it is not a failure of intelligence. It is the honest limit of a mind shaped by rooms and edges. What you can do, even without picturing it, is understand it. You can hold the logic of it, even when the image slips away. You can know, with your reason if not with your eyes, that everywhere sees everywhere fleeing, and no place is the middle of the fleeing, because there is no middle to be. And this is the strange thing your intuition is being asked to carry now. You feel like the center. You cannot help feeling like the center. Every direction you look, the universe is running from you. Every distant galaxy is drifting away from where you stand. If you were the center of it all, this is exactly what it would look like. And so your feeling of centrality is not delusion, not vanity, not error. It is what the world genuinely looks like from where you stand. The retreat is real. The direction of the retreat is real. The pattern of it is real. All of it, every last piece of the evidence, points to your significance. And the same is true for the observer in the galaxy behind the star you looked at earlier. Every direction they look, the universe is running from them. Every distant galaxy drifts away from where they stand. If they were the center of it all, this is exactly what it would look like. And their feeling of centrality is not delusion either. It is what the world genuinely looks like from where they stand. And it is true for the observer, 3 galaxies away from them, and 3,000 galaxies away from them, and 3 billion galaxies away from them. Every one of them, everywhere, sees the whole sky fleeing outward from their vantage. Every one of them, if they trusted their intuition alone, would conclude that they were the center of the universe. Every one of them would be wrong, and every one of them, at the same time, would be exactly as right as everyone else. The universe does not have a middle, but every point in the universe feels like the middle. And these are not two contradictory facts. They are the same fact, seen from two directions. The universe is centerless. The universe is centered everywhere. Both of those are true. Both of those describe the same situation. The centerlessness and the everywhere centering are not competing claims about the cosmos. They are the same claim spoken in two different languages. There is no privileged spot from which the expansion pours outward, and every spot, every last one, is a place from which the expansion appears to pour outward, because the expansion is happening everywhere at once, and every observer sits inside it, watching it happen equally in every direction. Sit with that for a moment. You are at the center of the universe. So am I. So is every distant galaxy whose light you have ever seen. So is every hypothetical thinking creature on some warm world we will never contact. Each of us stands in the middle of a sphere of retreat, watching the cosmos flee from where we stand. Each of us is, from our own vantage, the still point around which the retreat is happening. And none of us is more central than any other. The center is not any one place. The center is every place. And when the center is every place, the center is nowhere in particular. This is not a trick of language. It is not a puzzle to be solved by finding the true center hidden somewhere behind the appearances. There is no hidden true center. The apparent center at every point is not an illusion masking a real center elsewhere. It is what it looks like. It is honest. Every observer really is at the middle of what they see. And the middle of what one observer sees is not the middle of what another observer sees, and neither is more real than the other, because the middle of everything is not a place. The middle of everything is a way that the universe looks from any point within it. And so the small, proud feeling you may have had, the quiet whisper that said surely we must be near the heart of it all, is not wrong exactly. It is only incomplete. Yes, you are near the heart of it. From where you stand, the whole retreating cosmos wheels around you. You are the still center of a vast fleeing. That is real, and there is a kind of dignity in it, a kind of quiet weight. And at the same time, so is every other observer, everywhere, in every galaxy, in every possible mind, on every possible world. Every one of them is also the still center of a vast fleeing. Your centrality is not diminished by theirs. It simply does not mean what your intuition thought it meant. It does not single you out. It does not place you at some cosmic origin point. It only means that you, like everyone, sit inside the growth. And the growth happens all around you, because the growth happens everywhere. There is no center of the universe, and everywhere is the center of the universe. Both are true. Both must be held together. The one without the other is only half the picture, and the picture is only whole when the two truths sit side by side, neither erasing the other, neither winning out. This is one of those places where the honest answer is not a single sentence, but a pair of sentences that seem to argue and do not. The universe is stranger than a single sentence can hold. It asks you to carry two truths at once, and to notice that the tension between them is not a contradiction to be resolved, but a feature of the thing itself. Feel, if you can, how that reframes what you saw at the end of the last part. The whole sky retreating from where you stand is real. Your position at the center of that retreat is real. And it is real in exactly the same way, and to exactly the same degree, for every other observer in the whole cosmos. You are not special. You are also not special. You are one of an uncountable number of centers, each of whom is the middle of their own retreating sky, none of whom is the middle of anyone else's. The universe is a shape in which everyone is central, and no one is more central than anyone else. And this is not a paradox, but the plain geometry of a stretching space without a middle. I told you at the start that we were not going to get here quickly. We are still not all the way through. There is more to see, and some of it is stranger than what we have looked at so far. But this piece about the center that is everywhere and nowhere, is the piece that begins to unmake the room in your head. Because the room, remember, needed a place for the universe to expand from. It needed an origin, a heart, a point where the explosion once was. And now we have taken that away. There is no such point. There is no place in the cosmos where the expansion started. There is no location that was the center then and is the center now. The expansion happens at every point, from every point, everywhere, without preference, without a privileged origin. The room is starting to thin. It is not gone yet. Your intuition is still smuggling it back in around the edges. But something has shifted. The universe no longer has a heart with a wall around it. It has no wall, and it has no heart. And what it does have, we are beginning, slowly, to see. Rest here for a moment. We will go further next. There is a fact I have been holding back, because I did not want to bring it to you until you were ready to hear it without alarm. And you are ready now, so let me set it down carefully. Some of the galaxies whose light we can still see are receding from us faster than light itself. Read that sentence again, and notice what your body does with it. There is a small, quiet lurch. A part of you protests. You have known since you first learned any physics at all that nothing travels faster than light. It is the most famous rule in the whole rulebook of the universe. It is the one everyone remembers. Nothing outruns light. Nothing exceeds that speed. And now here I am, telling you that whole galaxies, uncountable numbers of them, are pulling away from us at rates that light itself could never match. Something has gone wrong. Either the rule is broken or the sentence is a lie. Neither is true. Both the rule and the sentence stand, and they stand together, without contradiction. And the reason they can stand together is exactly the reason we spent the last two parts moving so carefully through what expansion really means. Because if you carry the old picture, the cloud of galaxies flying outward through a fixed emptiness, then yes, the sentence would break the rule. Galaxies racing through space faster than light would be a violation. It would be impossible. It would be, in the plainest sense, wrong. But we have already taken that picture apart. The galaxies are not racing through space. Most of them are barely moving through space at all. What is happening is not motion through space. It is the growth of the space itself. And the growth of space is not a speed. It is not something that light was ever asked to be faster than. The famous rule was never a rule about how fast space could stretch. Let me lay that out again, more slowly, because this is the hardest single idea we will ever meet tonight, and it deserves to be said many ways. The famous law that nothing travels faster than light is a law about things moving through space. It says that no object, no signal, no bit of matter, no message of any kind can cross space at a rate faster than light does. If I sit here and you sit there and we are both floating in the space between us, then no ball you throw, no light you shine, no whisper you speak can reach me faster than light itself would carry it. That is the rule. And it is a rule that has never been broken and, as far as anyone has ever measured, cannot be broken. It is the ceiling on motion through space. But the growth of space between us is not motion through space. It is not you traveling toward me or me traveling toward you. It is not a ball crossing the gap or a signal being sent. Nothing is being sent. Nothing is being carried. There is no object making the trip. There is only the gap itself, quietly getting longer. And how fast can a gap get longer? There is no rule that limits it. The rule was written for things that travel. The stretching of space does not travel. It has no speed limit because it has no motion. It has only extension, only the making of more distance, and the making of distance is not a race. Let me say it again, in different words, because I want this to settle down into you and stay there. Nothing in the universe is moving through space faster than light. Not a single galaxy, not a single particle, not a single photon. The old law holds everywhere, in every corner of the cosmos. What is happening at great distances is something else entirely. It is the space between us and those galaxies growing longer. Every second, more gap. Every second, more distance draped between here and there. The galaxies themselves sit almost still where they are. But the space between us and them, viewed as a single quantity, is lengthening at a rate that outruns the passage of light across it. Not because anything is moving fast, because so much space lies between us and them that the tiny stretching of each patch of it, added up across all that distance, produces a total growth per second that exceeds the speed light can travel per second. It is a sum, not a sprint. And now I have to try to translate this into something your body can almost feel, because this is where the words start to fail without an image beneath them. Imagine you are standing at the near end of a very long walkway, one of those flat moving walkways you sometimes see in the corridors of large buildings. Only this walkway does not carry you forward. It has a stranger property. Every point along its length is quietly stretching, all at once, all the time. Between your feet and the point just ahead of you, a tiny bit of new walkway is being made every second. Between that point and the next point after it, another tiny bit is being made. And so on. All the way down the walkway, every segment slowly lengthening. Now, suppose you decide to walk toward the far end. You take a step, you take another. You walk at a steady pace, faster even than a light beam if you like, whatever pace you please. And yet the walkway ahead of you is not just staying its length, it is growing. Every second, more walkway is being made than you can cross in that second. The far end pulls away from you, not because it is running and not because you are slow. It pulls away because between you and it, mile after mile of new walkway is being added faster than your feet can eat it up. You never break into a sprint. The walkway never begins to move. And yet the distance to the far end grows and grows, and you cannot close it no matter how fast you walk. That is the situation of a photon traveling toward us from a galaxy sufficiently far away. The photon is doing exactly what light always does. It is crossing the space in front of it at the ordinary speed of light. It is not slow. It is not tired. It has not failed. But between it and us, more new space is being made every second than the photon can cross in that second. And so the gap between us grows, even as the photon rushes toward us and the light never arrives. Not because it moved too slowly, but because the road it was traveling on kept getting longer beneath it, faster than any traveler could ever catch up to. Sit with that image, because it carries something important. The light is not breaking any law. Nothing is breaking any law. Light is moving at its own maximum speed, exactly as it always does, exactly as the rule requires, and the space between us is stretching at its own rate, exactly as space in an expanding universe does. And there was never a rule saying it could not do that faster than light travels. The two facts coexist quietly. Nothing paradoxical is happening. It is only that the intuition we carry, formed in a world of small rooms and fixed floors, does not have a compartment for a road that lengthens under a walker. And now we come to the hard part, the part I have been walking us toward, because this walkway that stretches beneath the walker has a consequence, and the consequence is heavy. There are galaxies out there, real ones, whose light left them long ago and set out toward us across the space between, and that space has been stretching the whole time. For some of those galaxies, the space between us has been stretching just slowly enough that their light will eventually reach us, and we will see them one day, faint and reddened. But for others, farther still, the space between us is stretching too fast. Their light set out toward us, and it is still coming, and it will never arrive. Not late, not slowly, never. The road grows faster than the light can walk it, and no matter how many billions of years pass, the light will keep traveling, and the distance will keep growing, and the two will never meet. There is a boundary out there, not a wall, not a shell, just a line in the geometry of the cosmos, invisible and unmarked, beyond which any light setting out toward us today will never reach us. Beyond it, galaxies exist, real ones, made of matter and light like our own, full, presumably, of the same slow chemistry that led to worlds and perhaps to minds. But their light, set out this very evening, will travel forever and never arrive at your eye. The space between us grows too fast. The road lengthens too quickly. Their light will keep rushing toward us for the rest of time, never gaining ground, always losing it, forever. And it is worse than that, in a certain quiet way. It is not only that new light from them will never reach us, it is that any light they emit from now on is already lost to us. Any signal they might send, any message, any flare, any brightening or dimming of their stars, any change at all in the state of their world, is already sealed away from us behind that lengthening road. Whatever is happening there now, whatever is being born or is dying there tonight, is happening behind a curtain that will never lift. Their present is closed to us. Not distant, not delayed. Closed. Forever. Somewhere out there, in a galaxy we can see faintly by its ancient light, there may be an observer looking back in our general direction, and their situation is exactly ours. Between them and us, space is stretching faster than any light either of us could send. They will never receive a signal from us. We will never receive a signal from them. Their old light has already been arriving, growing weaker and redder, and one day it will grow so weak and so red it will pass beneath any instrument we could ever build, and after that we will not know they were ever there, and they, in turn, watching us, will see our light dim and slide toward red, and finally slip below whatever thresholds their own instruments can register, and we will be gone to them, and they will be gone to us, and neither of us will ever have moved. Neither of us will ever have chosen it. It will simply be what the road did, quietly, over the long stretch of the ages. Think of that neighbor for a moment, not as an abstraction, but as a real being on a real world, standing somewhere under some sky, looking up, perhaps at this very moment, perhaps with the same quiet wonder you feel now, perhaps asking the same questions we are asking, about the shape of the sky, about what lies beyond it, about why the light of distant things seems to be running from them. They might be very much like us. They might be nothing like us. It hardly matters. What matters is that they are there, and we are here, and the road between us is growing faster than any message will ever cross it. Not because either of us is unreachable in principle, not because there is anything wrong with either of us, only because the space between us is the kind of thing that lengthens without asking permission, and it has already lengthened past the point where any hand could ever reach across it. Let that sit for a moment. I want to be honest about how this feels, because I do not think there is any use in dressing it up. There is a loneliness in it, a real one, not the small daily loneliness of an unanswered message or an empty room, something older and vaster and quieter, the loneliness of a geometry, of a road that grows too fast for any walker, of neighbors we cannot wave to, ever, no matter how patient we are, no matter how carefully we build our instruments, no matter how long our species survives. There are minds out there, perhaps, who would have liked to know us, and whom we would have liked to know, and we will never know them. Not because either of us failed, because the space between us kept growing, and kept growing, and kept growing, and no light will ever cross the widening again. This is not a truth that can be softened. I could try, and any softening would be a small lie. The isolation is real. It is not the isolation of any particular person in any particular corner of the world. It is the isolation of one lit region of the cosmos from another. It is baked into the geometry of the place we live. It was decided by the way the road behaves, long before any of us were here to feel it. You may find, sitting with this, that a heaviness moves through you, That is right. That is honest. It is not an overreaction. If you feel small, if you feel far from something you cannot even name, if the darkness beyond the last galaxy you can see feels a little colder than it did an hour ago, then you are feeling something true. This is the middle of the walk, and the middle of any long walk always has a low place in it, a valley the road passes through before it lifts again. We are in that valley now. I am not going to try to lift us out of it yet. It would not be right so soon. The heaviness has a job to do, and the job is not yet done. We have to sit here for a while, in the honest cold of it, before we can walk further. So let it settle. Let the road stretch. Let the neighbor slip behind the curtain and stay there. Let the walkway lengthen beneath the tireless photon. Let the ordinary law hold, unbroken, while the distance between us and the far things grows and grows past any possible crossing. Nothing is going faster than light, and everything at the farthest reaches is being carried beyond the reach of light. Both are true. Both belong to the same quiet stretching, and the stretching is not done. We will speak again in a moment when we are ready. We have been sitting in the valley for a while, and it is time now, gently, to begin lifting out of it, not by pretending the heaviness was not real. It was real. It is real. But by walking a little further along the road until the ground beneath us begins, on its own, to rise. There is a phrase I have been circling this whole night, without ever quite meeting it head on. You have felt it hovering at the edge of every part. It has sat behind every question. Every time I said the universe is not expanding into anything, your mind reached for it. Every time I described the galaxies drifting apart, your mind reached for it. It is the phrase that seems at first to name what all of this is really about. It is 3 small words, and they sound so ordinary that no one questions them. Outside the universe. That phrase, the place beyond the cloud, the room the balloon is blown up inside of, the dark exterior surrounding everything, the somewhere the whole thing is expanding into. Whenever your intuition rebels against everything I have said tonight, this is the phrase it wants to offer as proof. Surely there must be an outside. Surely there must be something beyond it all. Otherwise, what is the growth happening within? What is the universe expanding into, if not that? Let us walk right up to the phrase and look at it carefully, because something interesting is about to happen, and it is not what your intuition expects. You have probably assumed for most of your life that outside the universe names a place, a specific place, a location that either exists or does not exist. And you have assumed further that the only 2 possibilities are that this place is out there somewhere, waiting to be described, or that it is not out there, and the words point to a genuine absence, an empty answer, a nothingness where a somethingness might have been. But there is a 3rd possibility, and it is the one that turns out to be true. The phrase outside the universe may not point to a place that exists. It may not point to a place that does not exist. It may not point to a place at all. It may be a phrase that, on close inspection, does not mean anything. It may be a grammatical arrangement of words that sound as though they should describe a location, but that describe nothing, because the direction they gesture in is not a direction that exists. Let me try to give you an example, one you can actually feel, before we come back to the cosmos. Think of the surface of the Earth. Now think of the North Pole, the point at the very top, where all the lines of longitude meet. Stand on it, in your imagination. You are as far north as it is possible to be on this planet. Now ask yourself, what lies to the north of you? Point in that direction, take a step that way, try. You cannot. Not because there is a wall in the way, not because some barrier is stopping you from proceeding. There is no wall. There is no forbidden zone. There is simply no such direction. North was a direction only insofar as you had further to go before reaching the pole. Once you have reached it, the word north has nothing left to name. Every direction you can face from where you stand is south. There is no north of the North Pole. Not because the place you are trying to describe is empty, because the description itself has run out of meaning. You have taken the concept of north to the edge of what it can mean, and you have discovered that beyond that edge, the concept simply does not extend. Sit with that a moment, because it is the key. North of the North Pole is not a hidden location. It is not a place you have been forbidden from visiting. It is not somewhere that failed to exist. It is a phrase that, on inspection, has no referent. The words fit together grammatically. They sound like they should describe a spot on the map, and they describe nothing at all because the direction they invoke has run out. Now hold that in your mind and turn it very gently toward the cosmos. The universe is a stretching space with no edge and no exterior. When we ask, what lies outside the universe? What is it expanding into? We are asking a question that sounds perfectly ordinary. The way north of the North Pole sounds perfectly ordinary. It has a subject and a preposition, and it points, seemingly, to a place. But when you look closely at the geometry of the space we live in, you find that the direction outward, taken all the way, runs out. There is no place further outward than the universe. Not because a place is missing, because outward, past a certain point, is not a direction that goes anywhere. It is like asking, what is north of the North Pole? The question sounds coherent, but when you examine it, the coherence dissolves, and what remains is a phrase without a place to land. This is not a dodge. This is not a philosopher's trick to avoid answering. It is the honest report of what the geometry says. The universe does not have an outside that is empty. It does not have an outside that is full. It does not have an outside that is anything. It has an inside, which is everything, and the word outside applied to it is like the word north applied to the pole. It has run out of meaning. Let me say it one more way, because I know how strange this is to hold. When you asked all your life, what is the universe expanding into? You were not asking a hard question that no one had bothered to answer. You were asking a question whose subject does not exist. There is nothing for the expansion to be into, not because the something is missing, because into, at that scale, does not have anywhere left to point. The expansion happens within, not within a larger space, just within in the sense that it happens everywhere, all at once, with no exterior for it to be relative to. The into was borrowed from a smaller world, the world of balloons and rooms and rising bread. It cannot be scaled up to the universe. There is no room at that level for the word to work. This is where the room in your head begins, finally, to dissolve. Not because you have discovered what fills the room, because you have discovered that there was no room to be filled. The dark exterior your imagination has always painted around the cloud of galaxies was never a real place hiding behind the last star. It was a phrase your mind kept building because it did not know how not to. And now, having walked slowly to the meaning of the words, you can begin to see that the phrase never named anything at all. Take a breath here, because I have been asking a great deal of your intuition and it needs a moment to catch up. Now I have to be careful and honest, because there is a subtlety here that matters, and I do not want to overstate what we know. There are two things I have been letting sit together as though they were the same, and it is time to distinguish them. There is the universe itself, and there is the part of the universe we can see. These are not the same, and the difference matters. The part we can see, the part whose light has had time to reach us across the ages, is finite. It is a great sphere of cosmos around us, its edge set by how long light has been traveling since the beginning. Everything within that sphere is, in principle, observable, though the very oldest and farthest parts arrive as the faintest whispers. Everything beyond it lies in a place from which no light has yet reached us, and, as we saw in the valley, some of it never will. This sphere is often called the observable universe, and it is what our instruments can, in the best case, ever survey. But the observable universe is not the whole universe. It is only the part we can see. The universe itself, the full stretching space, may extend far beyond that sphere. It may extend without limit. As best we can tell, from the shape of the space we can measure, the whole thing continues on beyond our horizon in every direction. More of the same, more galaxies, more space, more stretching, on and on, quite possibly without any end at all. I want to be careful and say what we know and what we do not. We know the space we can measure is very close to being flat, geometrically, at the largest scales we have been able to check. A flat space, continued outward, does not curve back on itself. It does not close up into a finite thing. If the flatness we measure locally continues out into the parts we cannot see, and there is no reason we have found to think it does not, then the universe itself is spatially infinite, boundless in the plainest sense, endless in every direction. But we have to be humble here. We can only measure what lies within our sphere. The parts beyond it might behave differently. There might be some enormous curvature we cannot detect from within our patch. The universe could conceivably close on itself at scales far beyond what any instrument has reached. This is not the most likely picture, based on what we have measured, but it is not ruled out either. The honest answer is that the universe is either infinite or so vastly larger than the sphere we can see that the difference does not much matter to any question we could ask from within it. Either way, there is no wall. Either way, no edge waits at the far side of the last galaxy. Either it goes on forever, or it curves back on itself gently, the way the surface of the earth curves back on itself without ever presenting the walker with an edge to fall off. So hear this carefully, because it is one of those places where two truths sit together and neither cancels the other. We can see only a finite sphere. That is true, and it is a real limit, and we have already sat with the isolation it creates. And that sphere has no wall. That is also true. It has no edge, no barrier, no exterior. It is a finite thing that ends only in the sense that our vision ends, not in the sense that the cosmos itself ends. And beyond it, more cosmos, going on, either without limit or effectively without limit, either way with no boundary awaiting anyone. Both of those are true at once. Our view is finite. The thing we view sits inside no larger room. We cannot see all of it, and there is no all of it that is bounded, no closed volume beyond which anything ends. The horizon we cannot see past is a limit on us, not on the universe. And this is where, if you let it, the heaviness of the last part begins to shift, not lifted away, not made false, but reframed. We sat, a little while ago, with the sadness of the unreachable neighbor, with the fact that the road grows too fast, that light cannot cross the widening, that there are minds in the cosmos we can never contact. And that is still true. It has not become false in the last few minutes. But look at where they are now in this new picture. They are not outside the universe. There is no outside. They are inside it, exactly as we are. They stand on the same stretching space. They belong to the same one continuous thing. We cannot reach them, but we are not separated by a wall or a void or a gulf of something alien. We are separated by more of the very same space that holds us. The cosmos that keeps them from us is the cosmos that keeps us. There is only one place, and we and they are both within it. The isolation is not exile, it is situation. It is a fact about where we stand in a shared space, not a verdict on our worth or our belonging. We are not surrounded by nothing. We are surrounded by more of the same something we are made of. The unreachable neighbor is not outside our world. They are further along in the same world. There is no wall between us, only distance. And the distance, for all its enormity, is not a rejection. It is only how much of the shared thing lies between us. Feel the shift, if it comes. It does not have to come quickly, but if you have followed patiently to hear, something has changed. The room in your head is thinner now. The great dark exterior your mind used to paint around the cloud has become a phrase that never named anywhere. The centerlessness is no longer a diminishing. The unreachable galaxies are no longer beyond us in some deeper sense. They are simply further within. Human smallness begins to look different from here. It is not a verdict. It is a place we stand. We are small, yes, in the sense that we occupy a tiny bit of a very great extension. But smallness is not insignificance. It is location. We are one point of awareness in a boundless something, and the boundless something is what we are made of, and what we live within, and what we are trying, with our slow, patient instruments, to understand. The size of it does not shame us. It only names where we are. And there is a quiet dignity in that, in being a small thing inside a boundless thing and knowing it, in being one of the places the universe has learned to look at itself, in sitting on a cooling planet under a stretching sky and asking with real curiosity and real patience, what all of this is, and how far it goes, and what lies beyond it. And in learning, slowly, that beyond it is not a place we are barred from. Beyond it is a phrase that runs out of meaning. There is no beyond. There is only this, all of this, all the way. The picture has changed. The room has faded. The dark exterior has quietly dissolved. What was there before it is what was always there. Just cosmos. Just this stretching, boundless something, going on in every direction, with no wall around it, and no wall behind us, and no wall anywhere at all. Feel how quiet it has become. Feel how the sky, if you could see it now, would look a little different. Rest here. The last part is a gentle one. We are almost home. Look up. Not right now. If it is late where you are, and moving would break the quiet you have settled into, look up in your mind, then. Picture the sky the way you saw it earlier, the way I asked you to hold it at the beginning of the walk. A clear, dark night, far from any city lights, the stars scattered across the black in their thousands. And you, standing beneath them, holding a single point of light in your gaze. Do you remember what I asked you to notice then? That the star was drifting away from you, that every distant point in that sky was drifting away from every other, that the gaps between them were slowly widening, slowly opening, like a held breath being let go over ages. I told you it was happening, and that it had been happening for as long as there had been a sky to hold it, and that it was the plainest and most far-reaching fact about the place you live. Look at the same sky now, and see how much has changed while nothing has moved. The star is still there. The gaps between the stars are still widening. All of that is exactly as it was when we began. Not a single photon has altered its path. Not a single galaxy has drifted differently. The universe is doing tonight what it was doing when you first sat down. Only your seeing of it is different now. Only what you know about what you see. And that changes almost everything. Without changing anything at all, hold the star again. And notice, this time, that it is not sitting inside a darkness that surrounds it. That is the first change. The dark that seems to press in behind the star, the great exterior your mind has always painted around the sky, is not there. It never was. It was a room your imagination built because it had never learned how to think about a space that has no room around it. Tonight you have learned. The blackness beyond the last star is not a wall. It is not an outside. It is not somewhere waiting for the cloud of galaxies to grow into. It is not a place at all. The phrase that used to point to it is a phrase that runs out of direction, the way north runs out at the pole. There is no north of north. There is no outside of everything. And the star you are holding in your gaze does not sit inside a surrounding void. It sits inside more of the same thing that holds you in every direction, without limit and without any wall to press against. Feel how the sky changes when you know that. The dark is still dark, the stars are still scattered, but the whole thing is no longer a picture hung inside a larger frame. It is not a cloud floating in an outside. It is the whole, and you are inside it, and so is everything you can see, and so is everything you cannot. Now hold the star again, And notice the second change. The star is drifting away from you. That is still true. And every distant point in the sky is drifting away from every other. That is still true. And the farther the star, the faster it drifts. Still true. All of that is exactly as it was. But you know now what that drifting really is. The star is not sprinting through some fixed emptiness. The star is barely moving at all in its own patch of the cosmos. What is happening is quieter than motion. It is the space between you and the star, quietly lengthening everywhere along the way. New distance being made in every gap. The road between the two of you growing longer without either of you taking a step. The whole sky, all its scattered light, held in place, while the fabric that separates each point from each other point is drawn out longer and longer, gently, continuously, since long before you or your species was here to notice. The retreat is real, and nothing is retreating. Both of these are true, and you can hold them both now, without the words fighting each other. And there is the third change, the one that took us the longest to walk to. You feel standing beneath that sky, as though you are at the center of it. In every direction, the universe is running from where you stand. That is a real feeling. It is not a mistake. If you were the center of it all, this is exactly what it would look like. And you know now that your feeling of being central is honest and true and not enough. Because so is the feeling of every other observer, everywhere. In every galaxy of the sky above you, if there is a mind there to look back, they see the same pattern. They see the whole cosmos fleeing from their vantage. They stand at the still center of their own retreating sky, and so do you, and so does everyone, and no one is more central than anyone else. The center is not any one place, the center is every place. And when the center is every place, the center is nowhere in particular, and that is not a paradox. That is the plain geometry of a stretching space that has no middle to be. The star you are holding in your gaze is not fleeing from you especially. It is fleeing from every other star as well, and from every other point in the whole vast sky, and from every possible observer in every possible galaxy out to the farthest reach of the cosmos. The retreat is not personal, it is the shape of the place. Hold the star a little longer. There is a fourth thing you know now, and it is heavier than the others. You met it in the valley. You have not forgotten it. Some of the light in that sky is coming from galaxies whose neighbors we will never see. Some of the light was sent from places whose current selves are already sealed away from us, behind a road that grows too fast for any signal to cross. There are minds out there, perhaps, whom we will never contact, and who will never contact us, not because either of us is unreachable in principle, but because the space between us keeps stretching, patient and impartial, past the point where any message can complete the crossing. That is still true. It has not been made false by anything we have said since, but it stands in a different light now, because the neighbor is not outside our world, they are inside it. There is only one world, and we and they are both within it. What separates us is not a void or a wall or a rejection. What separates us is more of the same space that holds us both. The distance is real, the unreachability is real, but it is a fact about where we stand in the shared thing, not a verdict on our belonging to it. We are further inside a boundless something, and so are they, and the boundless something is one. There is a quiet in that, not a consolation exactly, something older than consolation, a kind of company that does not require conversation. We are not alone in the sense that matters. We are inside a great one place, with everyone else who has ever looked up. Now, let me say the plainest thing of all, the thing that took the whole night to arrive at. It is what we came for. The universe is expanding. It is not expanding into anything. There is no room outside it, because there is no outside. There is no void beyond the boundary, because there is no boundary. The phrase outside the universe is not the name of a place that fails to exist. It is a phrase that has no place to point. Words arranged in the shape of a location, gesturing in a direction that does not go anywhere. There is no there. There is not even a nowhere there. The words simply run out. Let that be the last strange thing. There is no beyond. There is only this. All of this. All the way. Now hold the star one final time and feel what has changed. You have not moved. The star has not moved. The sky is the sky. The universe is doing tonight what it was doing when you began. But the picture in your head is different now. The room is gone. The wall is gone. The exterior is gone. What is left is the star and you and everything between the two of you and everything past the star and everything past that, on and on, going on without a fence anywhere, boundless, centerless, without an outside, without a wall for the outside to be against. You are inside it. You have always been inside it. You will always be inside it, in the sense that inside is even a word that applies here. There is nowhere else. Sit with that, not sadly, not proudly, just quietly, the way you might sit with a very large true thing that you have finally allowed yourself to see. The universe is not a cloud in a room. It is not a balloon in the air. It is not a rising loaf in an oven. It is not any of the pictures your childhood handed you. It is a stretching, boundless something, going on in every direction, with you inside it, and the star inside it, and the unreachable neighbor inside it, and every retreating galaxy inside it, and no wall around any of it, and no beyond behind the wall, because there is no wall. It is one place. You are in it. Everything you have ever known is in it. Everything you have ever loved is in it. Everything you have ever wondered about is in it. There is nothing outside. There is no outside. Feel how quiet that is. Feel how the fear of the exterior can lift, because the exterior was never there. Feel how the loneliness of the horizon changes shape, because the horizon is not a wall we hit, but a limit of what we can see from inside a shared thing. Feel how your smallness inside all of this is not a shame. It is a place. It is where you stand. It is where you have always stood. Look up, or picture it, the stars in their scattered thousands, the gaps between them quietly widening, the whole boundless something going on past every star you can see, past every star you will never see, past every direction the word past can point. No room around it, no wall behind it, No outside. Just this. Just this. Somewhere out there, on a warm world, under a different sky, someone else may be looking up too. You will never meet them. They will never meet you. But you are inside the same one thing. And that has to be enough, because there is nothing else for it to be. Let your gaze soften now. Let the star blur a little in your eye. Let the sky settle over you like a blanket that has no edges. You do not need to hold it all in your mind. You only need to know that it holds you, without a wall around it, without a room around it, without a beyond. There is no beyond. There is only this, and you are here. And that is where you have always been. Rest now. The universe is quiet tonight, and boundless, and holding you the whole time. Sleep well.